now been almost 7 months since the words Rabbinic transition were uttered publicly in our congregation. First at a meeting, then at a mailing that went out to the entire congregation via email. And you haven't heard anything since that time. And you know what happens. People begin to talk. And some of the talking begins to get back to me. And boy, I'll tell you, the fantastic things that I was about to do. I was going to strip off my robe at the end of this service or something and bid adieu, right? But not exactly that. Not exactly that. I do want to tell you that it is truly my pleasure, and it is a great privilege, actually, it's a hoot for me, to tell you right now that pending a vote of our congregation at an appropriate time, Rabbi Lawrence Rosenthal will become the senior rabbi of our congregation next summer. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about that. Someone actually this morning said to me, "Oh, you mean you're going to be co-senior rabbis, right?" And I said, No. He's going to become the senior rabbi, and I'm just going to be a rabbi. It's all right. And I want to tell you how right it is. Some of you here will be able, I hope, personally to relate to something I'm going to share with you right now in terms of where I reached in my career as a rabbi. Perhaps you were at a point where you'd served in your profession, maybe the same position, for 30, maybe even 40 years, and you do it well. And you still have wisdom to share along the way with others, but you realize that, you know what? The world's been changing. And you have to realize, perhaps, as I did, that you weren't best suited to continue in that absolute leadership position. And so it's time to recognize that, as I have in my career, and then begin to move on. It's something actually that I began to think about a few years ago. I first broached it with a member of our leadership team over 2 years ago. And when I returned from sabbatical now a year and a half ago, I actually began to actively work on and got to a point that I could be able to say what I just said a few minutes ago. Now, I came to the recognition that I came to, but I think I said also, and now I'll be clear, I think I still have some wisdom to share along the way. So, it is not my intention to go disappear anytime real soon, right? It's something that actually I've already begun to discuss with our leadership in the congregation, and hopefully within the next number of months we'll be able to share something with you in that regard. But one thing I want to make clear, actually, before I move on to Rabbi Rosenthal. We've now lived in Atlanta for over 14 years. It's become home along the way. And it's our intention, God willing, that Atlanta will remain our home whenever the time of retirement for both Susan and I arrives, and to be able to call Lawrence Rosenthal our rabbi along with this congregation, obviously, our congregation. And we are so fortunate to be in this moment. And when I said it's a privilege, it's a zechut, I really, really meant it. You have no idea how pleased I am that Rabbi Rosenthal reached the conclusion to assume eventually the position of senior rabbi of our congregation. Not such an easy thing to do, I know, along the way. But we are blessed that he's reached that decision, and we pray only for the blessings of his family, too. Because we know already that for a number of years, Rabbi Rosenthal has been bringing blessings to our congregation. You know, you don't work with him on a day-to-day basis. You get to see pieces along the way. But I can tell you that for a younger rabbi who's been in the rabbinate now for a decade, even along the way through those first 10 years, I was seeing aspects of wisdom that I would not have expected of an individual who had just that level of experience within the rabbinate. And of course, the kind of wisdom, and now we get to see it too, is expressed only in stronger fashion along the way. We've begun, but I can tell you that, of course, now the pace is going to pick up. We've seen aspects of the vision that Rabbi Rosenthal has for our congregational community. And it is clear there is a vision there, and it's a vision that I hope we will be able truly to buy into as a congregation. And here's what we've all seen. This is a piece of wisdom, too. That Rabbi Rosenthal knows that the root of anything and everything with regard to our congregation moving forward and continuing to be the meaningful spiritual community that it must be in the future is about relationship. It's about caring. It's about the development of relationship as a result of sharing that caring. And he does so in beautiful ways. Many of you have already been beneficiaries of that. And God willing, I'll say unfortunately on some level, and then I'll say b'simcha, right, with happiness on other occasions. God willing, in the years ahead, more and more of you will get to see that. Now, I said early in our service today that I don't know about what God is doing right now, but I know what we're doing and what we're doing every day of our life. We are writing the Sefer HaChaim. We are writing in that book of life. But I told our board back a couple of weeks ago, it's not just a matter of what we as individuals are doing. It's what we are doing as a community gathered together, not only today but at other times. We as a congregational, as a spiritual community, are writing the Sefer Chaim. And so I pray and I hope that we will truly engage, a word that you've heard here previously today, that we will work along with Rabbi Rosenthal, along with leadership of our congregation, so that the writing B'Sefer Chaim is especially beautiful, because every one of us here potentially will have participated in doing so. Right now, though, he's got a responsibility. And I suspect, based on a conversation that he and I have had about the message that he's going to share with us, that he's going to do a little bit of writing in that Sefer Chaim for all of us. Again, Shana Tova.